Hume Football League and its excitement of preliminary final action, the excitement of the Azzy medal and the excitement of Phil Bouffler getting a haircut in Albury. G'day Phil, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Wayne. I've just motored into Albury for not an annual haircut, for a bit of a haircut before it gets a bit busy. So I had 25 mil of rain at home and just called it at Walbundra and had to look at the ground. It looks magnificent.
Oh, gee, I tell you what, does the haircut happen once a year, sort of just in preparation for the big medal night on Monday night at Albury?
Got the big medal night on in Albury at the Commercial Club for the first time, so that's going to be a great night. So, yes, well, I'll have more than one haircut a year, by the way, too, Wayne.
Do we see you in a suit and a bow tie, Phil?
You can lose the bow tie, but I will wear a suit. So we obviously, with the venue, we want to go a little bit more upmarket with it. So sort of a coat and tie type thing, or, so we look to add a bit of prestige to the night. So, we're looking forward to it.
Prestige to the night. I tell you what, there's some good players running around in senior football right now in your competition. And the night, in terms of the better players through the year, how do you pick a medalist? You've got blokes like out of Osborne. McMaster's been magnificent through the year. Edward O'Connell has been good. Smets has been a good player for them. But I could name probably 7 or 8 players, and I wonder whether or not, because of that, the medalist could perhaps come from a Howlong or a Holbrook player. It's going to be tough for Phil, for somebody from Osborne maybe to win it on that ground.
It's very hard. You've got these dominating sides, and the votes are often shared around. So it's subjective in some respects. It's just a couple of umpires' opinion on the day. So but it's always been a great result. So it's really open this year. I just really wouldn't like to say who I would think.
Yeah, I tell you what, I wonder out of Jindera or somewhere like that down the list. You've got Ramwar Bundry-Walla had a big come from the last part of the season where they get a couple of players like the Duck Boys, or what about Mitchell Lawrence over there at Jindera? I mean, is there some players from a couple of lower clubs at Polwell, maybe from the Power, who had a good start to the season? But I think the winner comes out of Holbrook or Howlong in the context of their really good players.
I think I don't know. So it's just going to be someone, at the end of the day, it'll be the best player in the Hume League will win it. And that's, obviously we've got all the medals and the netball as well, so it's not all the focus just on the Azzi. But, it's, I don't know. Wise time next Tuesday.
Well, we'll know, and I'll look forward to the results coming through. I'll tell you what, I looked forward to the results coming through on Saturday and Sunday night, and I was disappointed to see it for the Ramwar Bundry Giants on their Sunday game. They went down in the elimination to Jindera 10-12-72 to 16-9 105, and the Bulldogs have responded and beaten the Giants.
Played very well, the Bulldogs, so well done to them. The Giants certainly tried hard, and it was pretty close, but it just kicked away at the end a little bit. So, Mitch Lawrence had a hell of a game. The Jindera are very even across the board, and I think that was probably the difference.
They did play well, and it was tough going for goals for Ramwar Bundry-Walla. They were in it at half-time, and still about 4 goals plus at three-quarter time, but they went away with it in the last quarter, the Jindera side. And Duck Boys, Christopher and Jack played well for the Giants, 3 goals to Holman, Wardius and Williams a couple apiece. In the match, though, for the big one, and it was a beauty between the Saturday combatants of Osborne and Holbrook, the 2 top sides of the season, and Holbrook got real close. It was just a very close match. Osborne 11-5-71, Holbrook 8-7-55. Phil Bouffler, there is a challenger in the room.
There is indeed. That was a good game, that. So, but Osborne played well. Good luck. I mean, I saw them. I think one of that must have been the second round at Holbrook, and Holbrook comprehensively beat Osborne. So, but that was a great win by Osborne, so they played well. Good conditions, good ground and everything, so it was a good day. Big crowd at Howlong too.
Well, that's great to see, and fantastic to have a look at one of the clubs having a final venue. But Walbundry will be where it will be for the next 2 weeks of Hume footy. Having a look at the better players: Duncan McMaster, Nick Madden, Sam Rutland, Edward O'Connell, Hugh Smetzer and Isaac McDonnell, and 2 each to Madden, Rava, Rutland and Smetzer. Too many options maybe. Andrew McKinlay 2 for his side, Holbrook, and maybe that was the difference difference in the end, the scoring options that were available for the Osborne side. It brings us to the preliminary final matches and through the grades. Starting in senior grade, Holbrook played Gindera at Walbundry. Rain in the week. No doubt about it, the field is draining beautifully at Walbundry. There'll be pies in the warmer, and it will be Gindera pies, no doubt, because they're in the final. But it's going to be a big day.
Will be a huge day. So obviously a bit of sad news overnight with the passing of the Queen. So I think out of respect for her, I mean, really at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're a monarchist or a Republican. I think everyone can unite and acknowledge the fact that she's given 70 years of selfless service, Wayne. So I think we've had to talk about it this morning, so we'll probably fly the flags at half-mast. I think we'd like to have a minute's silence before the first grade game.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful thing to do to honour her, and that will be happening across a lot of sporting fields and netball courts over the weekend as we do pay homage to her, and as we mentioned at the start of our program. Who's your tip here outside of this is a game of football, and you've mentioned one of the most important things that's probably happened in our lifetime, but who's your tip in a game of footy on the weekend? Holbrook come in probably a slight favourite, but Gindera could trouble them.
Yeah, very good game this. Just on it's a bit like looking at a horse race. You really got to go on the form guide. So the form guide said during the years probably Holbrook's been the second best side or up there. So I would assume Holbrook, but it will be very close. Could go either way, but Holbrook by a whisker.
I reckon if the Queen was training the horse at Royal Ascot, she might actually just back a little bit of an outsider, one of her own. Who knows there, Phil? Good horse analogy there in relation to Her Majesty, who loved her horses. Gindera for me, I'm going to take a little upset here in this game. What about this? Having a look at the reserves, it is the big one between How Long and Osborne. They got there by this way. How Long had a 1 point loss to Holbrook. Holbrook into the grand final in the reserves. Osborne, a pretty good win, 5 goals over Gindera. So I reckon Osborne come into this with a bit of momentum.
Momentum's a great thing in finals. I've said that all year going into the finals. So How Long, unlucky point. Once again, so maybe this is a, where the side who's had a little bit more form during the year. I think How Long might just sneak home here.
All right, the 17s, it is Ranwalbundry Waller taking on Henty. What a couple of good sides they are. Ranwalbundry Waller lost by just 8 points to Osborne in a thrilling match. Osborne go into the grand final of the 17s. How Long were no match for Henty. Henty have come on a bit of a golden run here in the 17s. They got up and by 7 goals beat Holbrook the week before. They're on a roll, and finals football in the junior grades can be a bit like that. I'm going to tip a little upset here. I just wonder whether the red and white Swampies might be able to get the Giants.
I might jump on with you, Wayne. I think they played very well last weekend, Henty, and they've got some very good players, and I think they might just sneak home.
Oh, it's a beauty. And what about the 14s here, Phil? Lockhart take on Brock Burham. How that happened was last week. Lockhart lost by just over a goal, couple of goals to Henty. Henty going to the grand final there. And Brock Burham beat Culcam by about 7 goals. So I reckon that this one, I'm going to tip Lockhart. I think Lockhart have been one of the best 2 sides all year. I just think that they're going to respond here.
Lockhart were off the boil from the very start last week. So that was, oh, gee, it's going to be hard. It's a close games, all these ones. I just think, they've got, once again, momentum. Now, the BB Saints had a big win, so I think, and they played very well too. I thought Cole County go pretty well, but they were comprehensively beaten, so I just think the BB Saints might get up on this one.
Oh, I tell you what, the little fellas from Lockhart have played some great footy right through the year, and come on, you boys in the red and blue. Love to see them do well here. Young Campbell and young Withers, young Matthews. It'd be great to see these boys in this game. Name like Matthews, and the fact that we've got the Lockhart show coming up anyway pretty soon, Phil. We got to have something before the Lockhart show to jump on board, and the Henty blokes have got their field days in a couple of weeks, so hey, I reckon let's go this one for Lockhart.
Well, that doesn't hurt. We've got the Lockhart picnic races as well, Wayne, which is the Spirit of the Land. So there's a lot of events coming up in Lockhart. Great month, and it's good to see a lot of those things back going again after all the blessed COVID thing. So, that'll be a close game, that one. So, seriously, every game could go either way.
Oh,
that's close to the final series.
You brilliantly said. Maybe you're sitting on the fence with the medal and sitting on the fence with every game in the prelim final. You're the president, I reckon, of this one.
Well, thank you very much, Wayne. Must remember one thing also about the Queen, and she was the patron of the pigeon racing as well. So she was a great person with pigeon racing. She had her own, the Royal Lofts, and they were issued with their own special rings, the R2. So, so we've got to remember that to all the pigeon fans who's listening today.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Good reflection on those two things, her horses and her pigeons, but more probably the service that she gave. And people like you, Phil, it's a model of volunteering in a lot of ways, her way in which she's dedicated her life. And to people like you and to all the other umpires and those doing the canteen that are serving, it's a day to commemorate her life, but also to think through how we can serve each other better. Phil Bouffler, you do a great job, and at the I medal on Monday night. All the very best.
Thank you, Wayne. It'll be a great night. Looking forward to it. And I'd just like to finish off by saying good luck to everyone in the finals. And I'm so pleased that after a couple of years with no finals, we've finally got the preliminary final. We'll have a live as-I medal, a vote count and presentation night. And it's just great, really. Everyone's so happy about it. We've had fantastic crowds. So get out to Wulbundry tomorrow and you'll be guaranteed some good football.
Phil Bouffler talking Hume footy.